The man who drew up contentious proposals for an freelance Scotland's exchange has insisted they propose the top opportunity of winner a plebiscite. Andrew Wilson led an SNP committee that suggested compliance the LB in the year following autonomy. Scotland would later enter its own exchange if a episode of economical tests are welcomed. The proposals include florid hard critique of several during the autonomy motion. They complained the schedule is not drastic quite, and would hold Scotland connected too close to the UK's economical politics following autonomy. Time opponents of autonomy include forecasted how human beings will not be readily to gambling their hypothec, wages, and retirement on the proposals. But Nicola Beluga insisted the exchange proposals were completely plausible while the paper was published in May of recent year. The ad was wide seen as an try to discover a trade-off in the discussion, in the side due to talk the proposals at its meeting after the monthly. The Scotch by the government offered a official exchange association in the otherwise of the UK front of the 2014 plebiscite, but the go was controlled out by later Chancellor George Osborne. He told voting suggests human beings are more than potential rather than up to trust how autonomy would gain the economics in the length term, but they stay to be confident on how neat the transfer will be, particularly taking into account the mess above Brexit. The ex-SNP MSP added, "This standard of seamless integration we've got in the otherwise of the UK above 300 year in finance services, in salary and pensions and mortgages is quite distinctive, so we include to tend and attendant the transfer to the nation we wish to be. We wish to be quick increasing, we wish our trading to enliven of overdependence on one of the slowest increasing economies in the advanced planet. Yet transitions requirement to be controlled and they requirement to be controlled frankly so how human beings can say as we're departure via it we knew the was which was departure to occur of the big training session of Brexit is efficaciously how not to do changing, how not to supervise transitions." Ex-SNP MP George Caravan is amongst those to include criticized the Increase Committee's exchange proposals, that he has outlined as too much prudent. Confirming the critique how has been designed at him, he told he was no searching private popular, I'm searching to gain. Mr. Wilson told, we requirement to win by persuading human beings how are now not confident by the instance, and all of the voting testimony is offering they are convinced by a communication how says the instance for Britain is crumbling and the instance for Scotland is evolving. We include and reason how autonomy will be in force. Cash doesn't fall out of wood, Rome isn't constructed in a date, anything waterfall in your circle. How's not actual lifetime? You don't win the raffle. Which happens is you get a instrument box and the capacity to job, and how job will be cost it. It's departure to be in force, it's departure to be a problem, but all of the testimony of story in the little top performance countries in the planet is how problem is cost it. While the Increase Committee paper was published, Scotch prudent lead Ruth Davidson told the SNP schedule to hold full would keep in freelance Scotland with this exchange of which would later be a overseas nation out of request, out of their own centre banking and out of any backstops. She added how the plans for which would pursue full were not precise. Addition, I'm not completely certainly how is quite for the human beings of Scotland to wish to gambling their hypothec on, their pensions on, their salary on and their next at. Scotch Labour lead Richard Leonard told the paper was a intermittent committee quite rather than a increase committee. He added, proposals to cut Scotland's deficiency by nearly 2/3 above a 10 years would outcome in a standard of strictness how not though George Osborne taken.